110 episodes in. We're rolling. I love it. I'm excited for 2025. Lots of big things happening. I'm sure you feel the same way. It's always good to get the holidays behind us. That's how I feel. I love them when they're here. Love hanging out with my kids, my family, but I was ready for them to be done and start moving forward. So yeah, let's get this podcast rolling. I'm super excited about today. I got Antoni Hoshino on the podcast with Pest AI. And we were actually on a call together. Was that like 2 months ago?
Yeah, with Kendall.
Yeah, with Kendall Hines. And we were part of a little mastermind group thing that we were doing that was live. And we ended up being on the same show. And I was like, dang, I got to reach out to this guy because we got to get connected. So we texted back and forth and we had a good time. It was fun. Talked about a lot of good stuff, marketing and things like that. So it was a good time for sure. But welcome to the podcast and thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I love what you're doing. You got a lot of cool things that you're working on over there. We'll get to that towards the end, but talk a lot about marketing, talk a lot about automation and what the future of pest control looks like, and you're the guy who lives in the tech world. So it'd be awesome to hear, but real quick, I always start the podcast. Antoni, if you and I were like a junior and senior in high school, who were you back then?
I was quiet and reserved and definitely kept to my own with a few core friends and not who I am today. That's for sure.
It's funny how we all change as we get a lot older. Where do you live now? You're in California?
I'm in California. Yeah, Southern California now. I'm from Northern California originally. I moved down here 5 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And how are you liking it?
I like it. Yeah, can't complain. The weather's nice. I wish I was a little closer to the beach being down here. I thought I would be, but I'm in Santa Clarita, so I'm a little more inland. Gotcha.
How is California as a whole? You always hear, you don't live there, but.
Man, that could be a whole another podcast episode. We can talk about
let's not go down that road. But where you live, pretty good?
Yeah. No, it's nice. Great, great schools for the kids. Southern California, so the weather's pretty much always nice. It was 70 most of December. I think it rained once.
We don't ever see the sun here in the winter. It's very depressing. So if you don't take vitamin D,
gotta keep up on that
for sure. You just don't see the sun. Like I'm not joking. Like maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, something like that.
I could not do that.
Yeah, it's not fun for sure. So I'm ready to get the winter behind us too. Then from high school, where'd you go from there?
Oh man, mine was a lengthy journey. From high school, I went to San Luis Obispo. Went to JC there for a few years. Didn't get very far. When you go to school by the beach and you're not super committed to school, it's every day is that decision. Like, do I turn left into school? Oh, I missed it. I guess I'm going to the beach. So spent 2 years there. And then, finally after messing around and having a great time for a few years, decided, okay, it's time to get serious. So I moved back up to Northern California and knocked out a few prereqs and then went into Sac State, and ended up finishing my degree there.
What would you go for school for?
Psychology.
Really?
Yeah. School was never really something that I was super interested in. Like I knew I had to do it and I did it because I was supposed to. So I initially went into college thinking I'm going to be a business major. And I started that and I was just falling asleep in class. And so when I went back to school, I said, you know what, I'm going to do something that I find interesting because maybe that'll help me stay focused. And I had taken a couple of intro psych classes and I'm like, this is cool stuff. I like learning about people and not really sure what my plan was at the time, but figured, hey, if you know people, that can kind of help you in anything. So ended up doing that, really enjoyed it. And then at the end of that, obviously you have the decision, okay, what are you going to do now? Are you going to go on to that next level and focus on getting a PhD and go all the way with psych or, or are you going to go into the workforce? And so that's kind of where my journey split. And I ended up, funny enough, going into my first pest control company.
How'd you get there? Where was it?
Oh man. So all through college, I'd always been in sales. I think that's probably also part of what I liked about psych, was just, right? And a buddy of mine, as I was finishing up school, a buddy of mine, he had started a pest control company a few years prior. Him and a couple other friends were just kind of going door to door. They had gotten a few accounts. They were doing a couple $100,000 a year in revenue, which was great. And I was, kind of talking to him. He's like, "Oh man, you should come work with me and help me grow this company. You have, you went to school, you have this great background, and you're really good at sales, from your other previous work experience, and you can really help me grow this company." And I did a summer, probably more than a summer. I did about a year, I think, of door to door with him as I was finishing my degree. And I was like, this is not it. I am not made for door to door. Like, props to the guys that can do that year after year. Great sales training. I think the best sales training I ever had, but I just knew it wasn't for me. And even though I was good at it, I knew I couldn't do it long term. So I finished my degree, started interviewing at a bunch of tech companies in the Bay Area because I've always been interested in tech. And he, kind of basically offered me, he's like, just let's do this together and you can come, be a partner, and, you won't have to knock doors. You can be part of the bigger picture and we'll build this thing out. So I ended up saying yes, and I spent 5 years there. We grew from about 300,000 to 5 million in 5 years. So that was really fun. And we did that obviously through making a switch into inside sales and digital marketing and focusing on that. And then some things changed, and I went on my way and into my other path and became a business owner myself.
That's awesome. And then where does marketing come into play there? Like, how did you learn?
Yeah. So I was primarily on the sales side, but I knew that we needed the marketing piece. So I kind of had the idea of, we need digital marketing. We need a website. We need ads. We need all these things, right? But I didn't know how to do it. So at first I think it's over here on my desk. I got like a Google Ads for Dummy book. I was like 50 pages in, and I'm like, we're hiring someone to do
That's awesome.
this is not what I'm going to be doing. So I brought a friend of mine into the company who had been doing it for a while, and I had him take charge on the ad side and the marketing side, built out the website, focused on digital presence. And I just sold a lot of pest control over the phone. Crushed it.
That's really cool. And then, but Pest AI wasn't your first company, right?
Technically, no. So when I left that company, I decided, hey, I really like this. So maybe I could do this for other companies, right? And so I started an agency called FiOS. And the goal there was to bring marketing and sales services to pest control companies. And so I got my first client, and I was able to grow that company for about, 2.5 years? I think we sold about 3 million over 2.5 years, all inbound again.
During those inbound, where was the majority of the leads coming from?
Google Ads. We were doing a lot of SEO, organic. We're in California, so Yelp works pretty well here. I don't know, Thumbtack. Everything, everything that I could think of. And then during that time, I was also, consulting and doing sales training with other companies across the US, and kind of trying to find my way and figure out what exactly we were going to do with the company. Were we going to be an agency, and I ended up having a great learning experience where the company that was paying 90% of our income at the time, we sold too much. They couldn't pay what they owed for the sales. And so as a new business owner, all of a sudden you're out $100,000 and you're like, well, what do I do now? So that time I had the opportunity to sort of reassess, and ended up pivoting and focusing on what we do now, which is Pest AI and building sales systems and software for companies.
So if you haven't heard about GorillaDesk yet, it's a super sick software. It's actually made by one of my really close friends, Chris Mareshi. So Chris built GorillaDesk to help streamline his own personal business over 10 years ago. But now GorillaDesk is used by over 4,000 companies. And today it's become one of the most premier platforms in our industry. So what's really unique about GorillaDesk is that it's a simple all-in-one solution that's really easy for your team to use. GorillaDesk offers a seamless onboard experience and best-in-class support with no additional cost. It's all included in your subscription. Inside the software, you'll find a whole suite of features: scheduling, invoicing, routing, and sales pipelines, integrated VoIP, text messaging, and pretty much all the automation you're going to need, and much, much more. So if you guys are still relying on paper or spreadsheets or fighting with an old software, I highly recommend that you guys check out GorillaDesk. So we have a link in our description. Click on that, and it'll take you right to their free trial. Now let's get back to the show. Walk me through that feeling of, hey, I'm owed this $100,000. Like a lot of us have been there, right? Like you first business, you just start your own. It's all, like you have no backup plan. You're all in, and now you wait for $100,000 to come in, and all of a sudden you don't get paid. Like walk us through that time.
Just bought a house, was getting married in a couple months. It all stacked on top. Yeah, it was tough, man. I mean, I could have very easily just said, okay, this didn't work, and go get a job, right? I mean, I knew that I could go to, I don't know, the 5 or 6 companies that I had been working with in, incremental periods of time, and just said, hey, I'm going to come work for you. But I kept, I've obviously watched like podcasts and listening to other business owners, and it just kept going through my head. Like a lot of first businesses fail. And so, at first it was like that feeling of, oh man, I'm failing. And what I realized is that there was no failure. It's like my biggest advice to people starting or in business is just, you have to trust the process. And this was just part of the process. It was a lesson that had to be learned, and stronger from it now. I don't make the same mistakes and over leverage myself, and, all the things that help you scale moving forward. So
yeah. And for sure. And then, as you learn more about business, like you can't rely on one client to pay 90% of the bills. Like that's just not a good strategy, right? So
yeah, I got way too comfortable.
Yeah, but it happens to all of us. So that's just how we learn, and just don't make those mistakes again. So it's a valuable mistake, but it's something that you need going forward. So then how did you figure out the new model? Like walk me through that process. Where in there did you say, like, hey, there's a leak here?
So in order to do what we were doing for this, for this company, which was marketing and sales, they were using Pest at the time. And this was 5 years ago now. So Pest didn't have any sales tools really at the time, right? I don't even think they had digital agreements yet. And I had come from field routes. And so I was like, well, in field routes, we have digital agreements, you have these other things. I don't have that in Pest so I need a sales tool. I need something to help me and my team sell. And so I looked at a bunch of different softwares and platforms, and I looked at going with like a pre-built CRM like HubSpot and Pipedrive and Keep and all these other systems. And what I found was that it wasn't built for pest control. It wasn't built the way that I wanted it to function. And it was either going to be really expensive to make that happen or not possible, right? And I was going to have to adapt my process to that software. So I ended up finding a software called High Level, which I know you're familiar with. And to those who aren't familiar with it, it's basically like WordPress. It's like you can build, WordPress, you can build websites.
Steroids, yeah.
Yeah, on High Level, you can build CRMs, right? And so I found this platform, and I just began building what I felt for me was the perfect pest control sales system. As far as lead tracking and follow-up and automation and just everything that I wanted it to be. And over the next few years, it became a really great tool. And so when I was at that pivotal point, where I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I sort of realized, as I'm talking to people, they're like, well, what about the system that you're using to sell? Like, what is that? And I realized people were interested in that. And so that became my focus, is like, oh, Lightbulb, that's a business within itself. And so I immediately switched from trying to sell and offer these services as an agency to providing a system for other companies who are already spending money on marketing and doing all those other things. And they just needed a way to maximize on that. And so that's what we've been able to do now for the last 4 years or so.
It's been 4 years already. You're going on your 5th year too?
Yeah. No, I think this is year 6. Time's flying, man.
Yeah, it is. The marketing agency, to turn back to that real quick, did that happen during COVID?
Yeah. It was started in 2019. So great start. And then COVID hit. And that was crazy, right? It's like, I think everyone sort of freaked out at first. Like, what's going on?
I know, like I talk to marketing companies all the time. They like, not all, but a lot of them lost a ton of their clients because it's the first thing that most companies were cutting was marketing.
Yeah. What was crazy for me was like all of a sudden I found myself in a position where I had companies that traditionally were going door to door who now wanted to make a shift and focus on inbound because they weren't going door to door. So 2020 actually ended up being like a great year for us. And, I thought, oh man, this is awesome. This is great. We're coming out swinging like year 2. We're killing it. All these companies want help with inside sales training. And then, it just sort of kept going from there. And man, what's really cool now is I've just had the chance to meet and work with so many people across the industry, from being clients to just meeting people and having random conversations about the business and pest control and, sales and marketing and, to being on podcasts with people like yourself who are just absolutely crushing. And it's awesome to see what's happening in the industry and the people that are building it up. And it's just been really fun.
So you got in the industry because a friend said, hey, just come check this thing out. And now you're 10 years deep.
Yeah. I've never heard of it. I was like, what is pest control? And now, 11 years later, here we are.
For sure. And then what piqued your interest in tech?
I don't know. I've always just been interested in tech, just technology. And I don't know, maybe it's my just generational thing. I worked at T-Mobile for 6 years through school, loved just cell phones and computers. And I just always thought like, man, this is what I like to do. And so when I started selling and doing sales, like, oh, I got to be in tech sales, and so, I never thought I would be doing pest control, but it somehow brought me back to tech. So, everything happens for a reason, I guess.
For sure. So we'll kind of get into what you do now, but what were some of the big leaks that you find in pest control companies or any service-based company? A lot of leaks, maybe a lot of opportunities that you see where they're dropping the ball or whatever.
I think the biggest opportunity for most of the companies that I talk to is how are you managing your lead flow, right? Because there's a lot of companies they're doing great, they're growing, they're running ads, they have those leads coming in, but they have them coming in a way that's just hard to track, right? Like somebody fills out a form and it goes to this email inbox over here, and somebody submits a thumbtack request and it goes into thumbtack and, Angie, and everything is just really segregated and split apart. And so when you ask them, do you have a way of knowing exactly where every single one of your leads is in your sales cycle? Usually the answer is no. And you can't, it's really hard to manage what you can't measure, right? So that was, one of the big holes. It's like you guys are running ads into a leaky bucket. You're missing leads because somebody makes a mistake. You're not responding fast enough. So that's wasted money because then they call somebody else. Fixing those speed to lead issues and management issues is really where our core started.
I'm glad that you said that. That was a great topic. And I've said this a million times too. What's your thoughts on speed to lead? I know you and I had this conversation a couple months ago.
I think it's just so crucial, especially in pest control. It's a very short sales cycle for general pest services, right? Maybe if we're talking about larger, one-time projects, termite or exclusion, those higher ticket items, right? Maybe it's a longer cycle there. But for general pest control, I mean, you got ants in your kitchen, you're calling somebody and you want them out that day or the next day. It's not a decision that takes a long time. And so if you take more than, what I've seen, if you take longer than 5 minutes to get back to somebody, they're probably already talking to someone else.
Yeah, I think the last stat that I saw, again, don't quote me, I think after 5 minutes, it drops by 80%.
Yeah, I've seen that stat as well. I think it's after 3 to 5 minutes, it drops by about 80%, which I agree. I think that's probably true.
Because they've already picked the phone and called the next person right below you. You did all the work, put the Google ads out there, LSA ads, people clicked on the link, they got to you. They called, you didn't answer the phone, or you didn't get the form inquiry in time. So now you were obviously able to solve this. Kind of just segue into what you guys do at Pest AI, which is pretty cool because I don't mean to cut you off, but like I've been seeing you out there everywhere, like all over the place. So it's been really cool to see. Like I was like, wait, who's this guy? And then I was like, see Pest AI here and Pest AI there, and see Pest AI everywhere. The next thing you know, like we're on a call together, we didn't even know each other. Like, this is awesome.
I mean, I'll definitely answer that question, but it's been kind of wild. Like, I mean, a couple of years ago, like nobody knew what we were or who we were, and we had to explain that, getting on calls. And now, after running some ads and having people talk about us, it's like people are kind of coming to us now, and so that's been really cool. I'm sure that's probably a part of any company's like branding journey, right? It's like you start out and nobody knows who you are, and I'm sure you've gone through the same thing where now people come to you and it's like, oh yeah, we see your trucks everywhere, right? But yeah, I mean, as far as like what we do, we really do try to focus on helping companies build sales systems to maximize their marketing, right, and their efforts. And we always, kind of through the journey, it's always, okay, lead capture, lead management, speed to lead, automating follow-up, right? And, and then coming all the way, back into helping you close more sales, helping you get more reviews, helping you get more referrals, turning into more leads, and just creating this loop here. So you're not just constantly dumping money into these other avenues.
Yeah. So you basically automated the entire process from lead to close sale.
Yeah, we've automated a lot of it. I mean, now with AI, yeah, we automate the whole thing. If companies want to, not saying every company should. I definitely love the human touch. But if you're going to miss a lead, you're closed, you don't have enough people to get to it, whatever it is. I mean, yeah, we're in an age now where you could automate the entire lead to customer journey.
Yeah. We even have, an AI call center backup. It's basically like it's like a voicemail, but it's automated, so they can talk to a person. It sounds like a real person. It's awesome, but it's just for after hours and nights and Sundays or whatever people call that we could miss the potential phone call. And it does a great job. It sells itself. How many companies that you talk to are going that route currently, where everything's just like the email, the text messages, the phone system, there's AI?
Yeah, I mean, I think every company that I talk to, for the most part, is going in that direction. That could just be the nature of my business, though. And people don't come to me if they don't want to go in that direction. And I think, it's always this conversation of, and you hear, I think when we were on the podcast, right? That was like a topic that came up. It's like, I don't want AI. I want humans. And I agree. Like, I think humans are going to do a better job, right? They're going to have empathy. They're going to be able to sell better. But what we're really focusing on is like, if it's a matter of not answering the call, right, or not responding fast enough, why would you not use the tools that we now have? I mean, the technology is just amazing. I was blessed to be on this call the other day with a software creator. I swear this is like the future of voice AI. This was like the coolest platform I've seen yet. It was a human cloned voice that you could not tell it was AI. It was breathing. Like, it was pausing, it was breathing. Like, it blew my mind. And you could build customer journeys for whatever type of call it was. So it could be a current customer call. It could be a sales call. And so I don't think we're far off from AI being very close to, if not better than, a lot of people that we have answering phones.
So wild.
Yeah, it's scary. Blew my mind.
Yeah, and even the first time I heard ours, and I'm not going to name drop because I need to, but like I was impressed. Like, it was pretty incredible, and it's just coming out. It's only going to keep getting better.
I think right now, voice AI specifically is really great. Like you said, like replace an answering machine, replace a basic answering service that's just going to take a message. Right? If you're using a service where they're actually like selling the people that call in, that's different, right? But if you're paying an answering service to just take a message and email it to you, voice AI can do that so well. But then the other opportunity, I think, is replacing standard IVR systems, right? Instead of calling in and being like, for sales, press 1. For current customers, press 2. Like something we've all gone through a million times, and it's always frustrating, right? Put AI in there and let the AI, what are you calling for? Cool, let me get you to the right person, and then have it connect the call. So I think that's a really great application for it currently.
Yeah, that's awesome. Where do you see, because you kind of touched on it a little bit, but where do you see the pest control technology side headed? As far as
management software?
Yeah, go management software, like all the above, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think on the office side, we're about to see some really cool things coming out. I mean, what you can do with AI, not just conversational AI like we use, right? But I mean, AI now can build out entire applications, right? We're talking like full stack developers. So, I was just thinking earlier, I was driving and I'm like, why don't we have a platform? I'm probably going to say this and then someone's going to hear it and go make it. But there's just going to be a platform where instead of having to like draw a graph for termite, right, or exclusion work, you just tell the AI what you found and it makes it, right? And it can write out all your findings and, like it can just do the whole thing, right? And boom, you have a report ready to go.
That's wild to think about it. But yeah, definitely.
But then there's a whole side of like, okay, optimizing routes. Like AI is going to be huge in that. And companies already, that's already been a thing for years, but it's only going to get better to the point where companies can make better routes, right? Have better forecasting. I just think it's going to change the entire game for people that adopt as the technology continues to come. You got a lot of companies that are still like using pen and paper. It's just wild to me at this point.
Are you more of a ChatGPT or Google guy?
ChatGPT, for sure. Yeah.
I don't know the answer to this, so maybe you don't either. But like, how do you try to? I know it's just going to scrub the data, and I'll get into that next. But showing up, because people are just going to start asking, who's the best pest control company around me? They're just going to scrape the data probably off of Google and it's be the top 5 pest control companies. Is there anything that we can do on that side of the world to rank higher?
Yeah, and I'm not an expert on this by any means, but there is a shift happening right now from like your standard like SEO services. So it's search engine optimization, right? Now it's going to be AI search optimization. So there's going to be a different way of formatting and a different way of building websites that are tailored to how AI accesses information versus how Google's search algorithm accesses that information. I think the companies that jump on that and start focusing on that, and I've already seen companies doing it, and the results are, obviously amazing, especially now that Google is shifting their search to AI results, right? So yeah, don't sleep on that. If you're not doing that, you're just paying some random person to do standard SEO for you, I would reassess your strategy real quick.
For sure. Great answer. What made you choose the name Pest AI?
So originally my first company was called Fios. And while it was great for personal reasons, it didn't really translate. And so when we started, I was like, I have this company and I'll just use that name. And nobody really knew what it was. And so then we launched our first conversational AI product, which was, our first version of our like AI texting system. and we called it Pest AI. And over time, we ended up just completely rebranding and going with that because it just made sense to people who saw it. The feedback was like, oh yeah, this is much easier for me to understand what you guys are. So,
do you guys work with other industries as well? Or are you primarily just in pest control?
Just pest control currently. Yeah, I mean, I know pest control. I love the industry. We've worked with other industries, but our focus is pest control.
Yeah, that's awesome. What are your thoughts on AI agents? Do you deal with them at all? What do you think the future of that is?
Yeah, so I think AI agents are awesome. I mean,
are they the next thing?
Yes, it's an employee that never sleeps, never calls in sick, right? Doesn't talk back, does exactly how you train it to the first time. They're great. And I think where things are really going to change is when we move from like AI to AGI. And now all of a sudden you have like an agent that can learn and adapt to what you're doing. But I think they're really great right now for specific use cases, right? Like we build out AI agents for, that can sell pest control, that can be customer service reps. We do a lot of text. We also do voice. And I just think they're really great to supplement and assist your human team in, what they're doing. I mean, we're in an industry where it's really hard to manage the cycle, right? In terms of like the influx of business, right? So you go from the winter to all of a sudden the summer and it's just like insane, and so unless you're hiring and firing, it can be hard to manage the amount of people that you need. And so, my thought is, okay, if I can take the 5 people that you have during the winter and allow you to operate at summer capacity with those same 5 people by just assisting them using AI and automation, then that's easier on the business. It's cheaper on the business, right?
Can you give us an example of that? Like what a good agent would be to assist to CSR or sales guy?
Yeah. So I think, for example, one of our customer service agents, right? They can, like you were saying, right? They can answer a phone call or respond to text, find out what that person needs, right? Answer basic questions, send them, if they're just calling, if someone's calling in or texting in to pay their bill, cool. They can send them a link, right, to their portal. And then if it needs to go to a human, they can connect to a human, either live or, let them know, awesome, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and get somebody to get on this for you. We'll give you a call back, right? So whether you're just buying that human time, maybe they're not available right now, or you're doing the whole process of what they're reaching out for. I mean, the agents are great. The way that we do it, especially with text, it's so seamless in our platform because the AI agents and the humans are using the same system, right? So the AI is talking to someone, and at any point in time, a human can come in and just take over that conversation. And it's completely seamless to the person on the other end, which I think is really important.
That's awesome. And then let's just say I want to sign up with your services. How long does that usually take to get integrated?
We usually say it takes about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on what you have going on and how many systems we're needing to connect with. I mean, we really try to connect with everything, everything that you possibly have. So, if your website's over here in WordPress and you're using field routes and you're using, Voice for Pest or Dialpad over here, and then you have all your lead sources, right? It's like,
I laugh because we've been there.
Yeah, we're focusing on absolutely everything we possibly can because our goal is to give you like one central location where everything's coming in and going out of. You don't have any double entry work, for your team where they're having to take leads from one place and type them into another, right? It's like everything's coming in automatically and then we can transfer that over to field routes or whatever it needs to be. So
how much of a game changer was an open API?
Huge.
I mean, there's still some systems that don't have it that are losing, I feel, in my opinion.
I think anybody who doesn't adopt, if you are a software provider that does not have an open API, you better watch out. Because that's the world of software is changing. I think it's going to become more and more important of connecting all your softwares together versus just what one of your softwares can do. Because there's going to be so many solutions for everything.
So if you own a pest control company today, which I don't know if you do or not, it doesn't sound like it. What would be some of the first things that you would do as far as sales, automation, marketing?
Yeah. If I was starting a pest control company today?
Yeah.
If I was starting a pest control company today, the first thing I would do is focus on building my storefront. So you got to have that digital presence, right? And there's a ton of free tools out there, right? Put yourself on Google.
The Google ads for dummies.
I talk to companies that aren't even on, don't even have a Google business profile. It's like, dude, get yourself listed, right? Get yourself listed on all the directories. And then, I would, have my field service management software in place and structured and built out so that it's scalable for my team. That's the other thing. You see a lot of companies, it's like they have 50 different plans. And it's like when you hire a new person, it's so hard for them to get trained and learn. So now that I've had a few businesses, I think systems and SOPs are really important. It's like I would just do that from the ground up. Focus on building a scalable system from day one, so you're not having to rebuild it later.
I've been there so many times, and I think Go High Level just keeps getting better and better and better.
Yeah, and that's and maybe for somebody just starting out, maybe they don't need a sales system. Maybe the flow of leads isn't big enough yet. But I can tell you that we've had companies come to us on day one, and we've had companies come to us in year 10, and we've seen ROI across the board.
For sure. Well, it's nice because you can build specific pipelines, right, for specific ads that you're running. You can track all the data on every single ad and ad source that comes through. So it's just not a shot in the dark. Like, hey, we got this many leads. How many to be closed? You're not trying to guess. Like, you have an actual number. Like, okay, cool. We got 10 leads today. We closed 5 of them. Closed at 50%. This is the revenue that we made today. Awesome. But you can do that for every single platform.
Right. And it's okay. Well, we spent this much in this channel and this much over here, but our conversion rate was double.
Absolutely. We're going to put most of our money.
Right. Especially if you're starting out new, you don't have an endless supply of funds. Right. So you want to make sure you're maximizing whatever it is you're investing in. So, being able to actually track your leads and invest based on that data, I think is huge. Whether you're using us or any other tool to track those things, I think is really important to know your numbers.
Absolutely. When it comes to tracking ads, you see a lot of companies. Which not specific ads, but which platform do you see converting the best?
Overall, I think Google is still probably the one that produces the most for people. Whether it converts the best or not probably comes down to what you're doing on the sales side. There's so many factors there. We
can get you the leads, but you got to close them.
Yeah. And that was part of the shift for me. Was like, man, I can make their phone ring, but I can't force them to sell it. They don't have the system in place to sell it effectively. And I was able to see, when I made that shift for companies where I just implement a system, it's so huge. You see growth and conversion rates just skyrocket. And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree. How much time do you have building these systems out?
How much time have I spent building them out?
Yeah.
Oh, years. I build every day. It hasn't stopped.
Can you code too?
I'm not a developer. No, I can code by AI, right? Yeah. Anyone can now. And I have at this point now, I have a general understanding where if I have tools that will help me, I can get pretty far. But I'm not a developer. I have a great developer and he's awesome. And I've been able to build a team around me that's just great in every aspect of what they do to provide an awesome service for people.
Yeah. I know you're out at Pest World. I don't know if you were there specifically. You had your team out there. How'd it go out there?
Yeah. Pest World was great. I wish I could have been there, but we had a baby on the 15th.
Yeah, congratulations. 2 months old now, right?
Yeah, he's almost 3 months old now. But my team was there and it was awesome. And I had people sending me pictures from the booth, and definitely excited for next year. I want to make sure I get to go. And
I think it's in Dubai.
It's in Dubai next year?
This year. 2025 is Dubai.
Oh, this year. Well, but there's two, right?
I don't know. Is there?
Yeah, so I think there's two. There's the one that's in Dubai, and then there's going to be the one that's in the US again.
Maybe. I don't know. I thought they just picked a random, because like 2 years ago it was in Boston. Last year was in Denver. I think it's Dubai this year.
Yeah. Sophia, are you on Google right now? Can you find out
where's our Jamie? Jamie. So we got our very own Jamie, like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
She's right here. Orlando.
Oh, that's right. Orlando. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I was just talking to my buddy the other day about that. My buddy Kyle works for a company called All You Need out in Florida, and they just had a kid a little while ago too. I was like, yeah, let's meet up and take the kids to Disney World.
Funny enough, like we were talking about this with one of my buddies the other day. My mentor purposely would pull us out of our company in the busiest time of the year for a week. So he'd have mastermind groups we'd go to right in the smack middle of spring. Like you have to get the business to run without you and to learn, So even though it was a stressful time to go, it taught us a big lesson. Because you work your ass off, right, to make sure that you can go. And then you go away for 7 days, and you come back and you work your ass off again to get caught back up. So it's like, he's like once a quarter, he always told us to take a vacation because that's why.
Yeah, that was a big lesson that I learned over the years, was actually, being able to build out your business so that you can step away. Because otherwise you're just creating your own job, and that's not what we're here to do.
Yeah, I agree. But again, especially early on in the early days, we had to. There's no one else willing to do the work that had to get done. So it takes time.
So anyone who's just struggling with that piece, like, don't feel bad. It's when you put your heart and soul into something and you build it from the ground up, like, it is really hard to just take your hands off and let somebody steer and hope that it keeps going in the right direction.
For sure. But every time that I've made a really big hire, they've done it so much faster than I could do it. I just had a call with my director of operations today, and we're going over, on Saturday, we have our Christmas party, like a black tie event. And we're chatting with her. She's like going over numbers for the year. She's like, I'm so proud of you. I'm like, this wasn't a me thing. This was a team thing. Like, don't be proud of me, be proud of us. Like, yeah, we killed it together, but I could not do this without you guys. And I love like the building phase of the business. I absolutely love it. It's like opening new markets. It's so much fun for me because it's like starting all over again. You get to build fast. And then the business gets up to where it's like an adult and you're like, oh, it's not as fun anymore. And then go do it again, So
yeah, well, especially if you're putting those people in place and building out those systems, and you're running out of stuff to do eventually,
Yeah. Did you have any mentors along the way?
Yeah, I've never had, I guess, like a set mentor, but I've had some really great business owners that I've had a chance to work with over the years who have given me just awesome advice. And that goes a huge way. Like, to people out there who are like trying to do it themselves, man, you're making it hard on yourself. Like there's people that have had years of experience and struggle, and they're willing to share with you, and help you through it. You can find those people. It's just huge.
Yeah. And that's what the podcast was for originally. Like a bunch of us friends said we were going to do it. No one did it. Finally, I made the podcast, but I love it because I get to meet people like yourself and what you're doing in the industry. And then I get to learn, and then everyone just gets to learn along with me. And it's free. It just takes a couple hours of my time throughout the week. It's not a big deal.
I talk to some owners and they're like, no, I can't tell anyone what I'm doing, and I can't share. It's like, there's so much business for everybody.
You just have to have an abundance mindset,
Yeah, it's like, I don't care if I have a pest control company, and you have a pest control company right next to me. Like, there's no reason why you can't help.
I have people that fly in just to come check out our operations and see what we're doing. Like, anyone's welcome. Like, I say this publicly, but anyone's welcome to come visit us anytime. I'm an open book.
And it's more fun that way.
Yeah. You get to meet awesome people and learn what they're doing and learn what other, like, it's so much fun just to collaborate and make it better. It's funny because I came from the lawn care world, and everyone's super collaborative like that. They love to help each other out. Then I got in the pest control industry, and it wasn't the same. I was like, oh, this is weird. You reach out to people, they kind of ghost you, and like, I'm going to change all that. So I did. Now I just have a podcast, just teaching people what we do. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, same. I love connecting with people and just sharing everything I possibly can. It's like, let's just see everyone get better, everyone succeed. Just raise the bar across the board.
For sure. Who taught you how to do tech? Is it just something you figured out on your own?
Yeah, trial and error, man. Lots of hours.
Yeah, that's cool. What is next year? Okay, let's start with this. What does 2025 look for you, like for you at the company? And then what does the next 5 years look like for you?
2025 has a really cool energy to it. People are feeling it. I feel like, not just me.
I think the states in the last 6 months have changed a lot. Personal opinion.
Yeah, 2025 is huge. It's going to be a really big push for us. This morning, I'm in my company chat, and we're all just hyped. It's like first working day for most of the company, and I was kind of asking people, like, what's your word of the year? My buddy Travis posted yesterday, and I saw that, and I was like, oh man, this is cool. And so, looking at that, for me, my word of the year was legacy.
I saw that. I saw your post this morning.
Yeah. So really focusing on not just what I'm doing now, but where it's going to take us, down the road. And that's not just in my business, but that's in my personal life. Right. And my CMO, his word of the year was focus. And so for us at Pest AI, I think this is a year of pivotal change. Like we are going all in. We're going to just try to change the game for our users and really make a huge push and, get us to that next step on where we want to be.
Isn't it cool how like every single year we're a brand new company? That's how I feel every single year. Like we've done so much work over this past year to get better and better and better. We start 2025, like of course we're going to do great. And then in a year we're going to change a bunch of stuff again. It's all going to break and we'll fix it. If you're growing
quickly, you basically are, right? I mean, because you started in 2024, where you're at in 20, like it's a whole nother phase of your business. What do they say? What you did to get here is not going to take you there. Right. So,
yeah. And what's the next 5 years look like for you?
I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I don't know what the next 5 years look like. I think the technology is changing so rapidly.
Fast. Yeah. Like ChatGPT 4 just came out, and then I think 4.5 is coming out.
Yeah.
And I can't remember how much more powerful they said it was going to be, but it's already incredible.
Yeah, it's wild. I honestly don't know. I don't know what the next 5 years are going to look like. I don't know what the next 3 years are going to look like. I think the technology world is just changing so quickly. We've been talking about this a lot. Like, are we still going to be a productized company, or are we going to end up being more of a service that provides this back end technical service for companies and builds out systems? Who knows? Yeah,
I'm curious to see what AI is going to do to the pest control industry on the like manual labor side. Like when will that change?
I'm really curious if we're going to see an AI robot doing pest control.
Well, I was talking to a guy in Florida, and he worked for Ford. He was like on their AI side of robots. He said that there's already robots right now that could go out and do our job for us. He's like, but when will it be available to you guys and at a reasonable cost? He's like, it's hard to say. He's like, the next 5-10 years, maybe. He's like, just don't sleep on it. Just be ready for it. It's going to happen. It's going to get wild. I had my mentor, he's close to the AI side too, and the robotic side. He said soon it's going to be a matter of like, hey, they're going to go, one guy's going to drive, not even a guy, won't drive the truck will drive there. 4 or 5 robots of, lawnmowers will get out and do all the mowing. And you'll have like a guy that stands there, he does all the blowing off the sidewalks and then manages all the fleet and like a tracker, and that's about it.
Yeah. Technicians are going to be replaced by robots, and there's just going to be an engineer on site.
Yeah. What was that movie with like 5 years ago, Will Smith?
Oh, iRobot?
iRobot, yeah.
Yeah. It's getting scary, man.
That was a great movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was 10 years ago. I didn't think it was 21.
I think it would be really interesting to see what changes on the consumer side. How are consumers going to feel about that? And is the consumer mindset going to evolve where that just becomes normal?
Well, like even with like the phone answering AI system that we have, the older generation, like older than us, they hate it. Like it's funny because everything's recorded. Like they'll be swearing on it at the thing. It's super fun. But then the younger generation will buy from it.
And those are going to be the homeowners over the next decade, right?
For sure. Yeah. So like, yeah, the young kids now, Gen X or whatever, they're going to be homeowners soon. And then we'll be selling to they'll be our clientele, and they won't want to talk to anyone. They'll tell ChatGPT to send someone over.
Yeah, right.
What else do you see coming?
Yeah, I would just I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I've talked to other people and I feel like they feel the same way. I feel like technology has slept on the pest control industry. And it's not a small industry. I mean, what is it, like $7 billion industry or something?
I think it's like 700 billion or something.
I would just love to see more technology coming to pest control. You're starting to see it with smart traps and, technology being brought into that. And I just think there's so much opportunity. For sure.
Could you keep you half hour, 45 minutes? We're going on over an hour. So I'll wrap this up. Are you much of a reader at all?
I've become a listener.
What do you like to listen to?
I just like listening to books better than reading.
Cool. Any book recommendations for listeners that you liked?
Man, yeah. If you haven't read them, there's a book called Rocket Fuel.
I love Rocket Fuel.
Highly recommend it. Who not have? Yeah. If you're a business owner at really any phase, read those books if you haven't.
Yeah. Do you listen to any podcasts?
I haven't gotten into a ton of podcasts lately. I don't know what it is. I'll listen to like a few episodes and then I don't really drive much. So maybe if I was driving.
Yeah, I drive a lot.
Yeah. So if I was driving more, I think I'd really get into them.
Right. You own a Tesla?
Yeah. Right. I need to get a Tesla so then my car can drive me around and I can just sit back and.
I actually just drove my first Tesla the other day. I've been in them before, but I never drove one. It's a wicked car. They're fun. It's funny. Yeah, it's pretty wild. It was impressive. One of our guys, we bought one he hit the golden door where we had to go buy one. But last question for you. What are you most proud of?
What am I most proud of? Gosh, lately, my family.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest accomplishment yet. Work is great, but family is everything.
For sure. Awesome, man. Well, we're definitely going to stay connected. I definitely want to get you back on the podcast soon. Even in the next 6 months, see much has changed. We'll get you back on. I'm super excited to where the pest control industry is going myself, but you're at the forefront of it. It's super cool. I love what you're doing for the industry, so keep it up. And thanks for being here.
Yeah, Jonas, thanks for having me, man.
All right, buddy. Chat with you soon.
All right. See ya.
See ya. Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. We don't charge any money for the show, obviously, but the podcast isn't free. You can pay for the podcast by sharing it with your friends and your family. So please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. These things make a huge difference for us. If you have any specific questions you want answered about the business or your life by me or my guests, send an email to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. And if you want to get in touch with me about any personal business coaching, check out our website at www.pestcontrolmillionaire.com. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you guys again on the next one.